Amanda Miller never expected to be abducted by aliens. The tall, blue-skinned woman who stood over her bed in the middle of the night had 6 fingers on each hand and eyes that glowed like amber in the darkness. Amanda tried to scream but found her voice frozen as the alien woman raised a small device and everything went black. When Amanda woke, she was in a sterile white room that hummed with strange energy. She wore a simple gray jumpsuit instead of her pajamas, and her brown hair had been neatly combed. The door to the room had no visible handle, and the ceiling glowed with soft light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. A voice spoke from hidden speakers. The language was musical and completely foreign. But somehow, Amanda understood the meaning. "You are awake, good. We have much to discuss." Human. The door slid open and the blue-skinned woman entered. She stood nearly 7 feet tall with a slender build and moved with graceful precision. Her face had high cheekbones and a narrow chin with no visible nose, just 2 small slits. She wore a fitted uniform with symbols Amanda couldn't decipher. "I am Nalia, instructor, first class of the Verixian Academy. You have been selected for our research program on primitive species." "Amanda Miller of Earth." "How do you know my name?" asked Amanda, finding her voice at last. "How am I understanding you?" Nalia tilted her head, a gesture that seemed almost human. "We have studied your language centers and made adjustments. Your comprehension is expected. The neural implant is temporary and will dissolve upon your return. Amanda stood up, her legs shaky. "When will that be?" "And why me?" The alien woman made a gesture with her 6-fingered hand. "The specifics are not relevant. You are specimen 47 in our current research cycle. Your emotional responses are particularly valuable to us." Amanda felt a chill run through her. "What kind of research?" Nalia showed no expression. "We study fear and stress responses among developing species. The Verixian Collective has monitored Earth for centuries. Your kind is unusually reactive to danger stimuli. Your survival, despite your emotional instability, is an anomaly. We seek to understand for the next several days." Amanda was subjected to various tests. Some were simple cognitive puzzles. Others involved viewing disturbing images while machines monitored her brain activity. The worst were simulations that felt entirely real: floods, fires, predators, and falling from great heights. Each time Nalia and her colleagues observed with clinical detachment. They kept Amanda isolated except for the tests, and Nalia, who would come to ask questions about her responses. "Why did you continue attempting the puzzle after repeated failure? How did you calm yourself during the earthquake simulation? What made you cry during the abandonment scenario?" At first Amanda answered with anger and defiance, but as days passed, she began to speak more openly, trying to make the alien understand what it meant to be human. "Fear isn't weakness," she told Nalia during one session. "It's information. It's what kept our ancestors alive and helps us recognize danger." Nalia made notes on her translucent tablet. "Your species embraces fear rather than evolving. Beyond it, this is inefficient." Amanda laughed. The alien looked startled by the sound. "We don't embrace fear, we acknowledge it, we work with it. Sometimes we even seek it out." This statement confused Nalia greatly. Why would any rational being seek fear-haunted houses, horror movies, roller coasters? Amanda explained, "People enjoy being scared when they know they're actually safe. It's like practicing for real danger, and sometimes facing your fears is the only way past them." The alien seemed troubled by this concept. "Such behavior contradicts survival logic. Yet your species has advanced despite this neural deficiency." Curious, on the 7th day, Amanda was brought to a new testing chamber. This one looked like a forest clearing on Earth with tall trees surrounding her, and a night sky above. The stars were wrong, though, arranged in patterns she had never seen. A full moon shone down, casting silver light across the grass. "This is a recreation of your planet," Nalia explained, appearing suddenly beside her. "We have constructed it from your memories and our observations. The simulation is quite accurate." "It feels real," Amanda said, reaching out to touch a tree trunk. The bark was rough under her fingertips, exactly as it should be. She could smell pine. and earth and feel a cool breeze on her face. Today we will observe how you navigate a fear scenario with full awareness that it is not real. Nalia said, "We wish to understand this recreational fear you mentioned." The alien handed Amanda a small light and stepped back, disappearing into the shadows. The forest darkened as clouds covered the moon. Something howled in the distance, a sound that made the hairs on Amanda's neck stand up. She knew it wasn't real, but her heart still pounded as she heard branches breaking nearby. Something was moving through the trees, something large. She turned on the light, seeing only a narrow path leading deeper into the forest. Despite knowing it was a simulation, Amanda felt genuine fear as she began walking forward. The path twisted between ancient trees, their branches reaching like gnarled hands overhead. She heard breathing behind her, heavy and rhythmic. When she turned, there was nothing there. But the sounds continued, growing closer with each step. Reached a small clearing and the light flickered, dying slowly. The breathing was very close now. Amanda turned in a circle, trying to see what was stalking her. The light went out completely. She stood in perfect darkness, aware of something circling her just beyond reach. Amanda closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She reminded herself it wasn't real. She thought of the horror movies she watched with friends, how they would scream, then laugh at their own reactions. She thought of ghost stories, told around campfires. When she opened her eyes, she could see better. The moonlight had returned, filtering through the trees. She heard the creature again, but instead of running, she turned toward the sound. "Show yourself." She called, her voice steadier. Then she felt him, not afraid. The creature stepped into the clearing. It was enormous, at least 9 feet tall, with the body of a man and the head of a deer. Its antlers stretched toward the sky, twisted and sharp. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness, and its breath came in white clouds despite the warm night. Amanda stood her ground, though everything in her screamed to run. The creature tilted its head, studying her. Then it spoke, its voice like stones grinding together. "You lie, little human. You are afraid, but you do not run. Why? Because sometimes fear is just fear." Amanda said, "It doesn't control me." The creature took another step forward, lowering its antlered head. "I am the thing that hunts in darkness. I am the shadow you cannot escape. I am your nightmare made flesh. What will you do now?" Amanda thought for a moment, then did something that surprised even herself. She sat down on the forest floor, cross-legged, and looked up at the monster. "I think I'll stay right here," she said. "And if you're going to eat me, get on with it. But if not, maybe you could sit too and we could talk. I have questions about this forest." The creature froze, clearly confused by her response. The simulation wavered for a moment, trees becoming transparent before solidifying. Again, the monster shimmered. And suddenly Nalia was standing there instead, looking down at Amanda with an expression that might have been, "Respect, simulation terminated." The alien said, "The test is complete." "What did you learn?" Amanda asked. Standing up and brushing leaves from her clothes, "That humans are fascinating." Nalia replied, "You acknowledge fear yet refuse its dominance. Most subjects either flee until exhaustion or attack despite futility. You did neither." Amanda smiled. A scary story needs the right ending. The next morning, Nalia brought Amanda to a different part of the ship. A large room with walls made of what looked like glass. Amanda gasped as she realized she could see space outside. Countless stars shimmered against perfect blackness, and below them a blue and white sphere hung in the void. "Earth is that," she began, unable to finish the sentence. "Your homeworld," Nalia confirmed. "We are currently in orbit approximately 30,000 of your kilometers from the surface. Our vessel remains cloaked. From your detection systems, it looks so beautiful from here," Amanda said, pressing her hand against the glass. "So peaceful. You would never know about all the problems and conflicts." Nalia tilted her head. "Your species' tendency to assign emotional qualities to celestial bodies is noteworthy. The collective views planets as resources or habitats. Aesthetic appreciation is considered irrelevant. Do Verixians ever do anything just because it's beautiful?" asked Amanda, turning to look at her captor. "Not useful or efficient, just pleasant to experience." The concept is not unknown to us, Nalia replied carefully. We have arts, though they serve primarily educational and historical purposes. The pursuit of beauty for its own sake is considered a primitive impulse, one our society evolved beyond many generations ago. Sounds boring, Amanda said. Nalia seemed startled. Boring? I am unfamiliar with this concept. Dull, uninteresting, lacking excitement. Amanda explained. Nalia made a note on her tablet. Interesting, you perceive. Our advanced civilization is less desirable than your own despite our technological superiority. This confirms our hypothesis about human exceptionalism. You believe yourselves special? Despite evidence to the contrary. Amanda laughed. I don't think. Humans are better than Virixians, I just think. Maybe you lost something important when you decided emotions were primitive. Before Nalia could respond, another alien entered the observation room. This one was taller, with darker blue skin and elaborate markings on her face. She spoke to Nalia in their native language, a series of musical tones and clicks that Amanda couldn't understand despite her implant. Nalia turned to Amanda. This is senior researcher Kalina. She wishes to conduct the next phase of testing. What does that involve? Asked Amanda. Warily, Nalia hesitated uncharacteristically. The procedure requires neural mapping of fear responses in real time. It is not dangerous but may be uncomfortable. Amanda crossed her arms. I want to know exactly what you're going to do to me. Kalina spoke, her voice deeper than Nalia's. We will stimulate the amygdala and other fear centers in your brain while recording the neural pathways that activate. The process will induce fear states of varying intensity. You mean you're going to scare me on purpose? That is a simplification, but essentially correct, Nalia said. What happens if I say no? Kalina made a sharp gesture. Your consent is irrelevant. You were selected for study. Your cooperation, while appreciated, is not required. Amanda felt her heart rate increase, but she stood her ground. Where I come from, forcing someone to participate in experiments against their will is considered wrong. It's unethical. Kalina seemed unmoved by this argument. Your species' morality is primitive and inconsistent. Humans regularly subject other life forms to experimentation. Our methods are more humane than many of your own scientific practices. Maybe you're right, said Amanda. But that doesn't make it right for you to do it to me. Nalia, who had been quiet during this exchange, suddenly spoke. Your resistance is noted, Amanda Miller, and unexpected. Most subjects accept authority without question. This pattern of defiance, despite fear, is uniquely human, to Amanda's surprise. Nalia turned to Kalina and said something in their language. A brief but intense discussion followed, with Kalina making sharp gestures that clearly indicated disagreement. Finally, Kalina left the room, her posture rigid with what Amanda interpreted as anger. Have proposed an alternative protocol. Nalia explained after Kalina had gone, one that does not require direct neural manipulation. Your cooperation would be documented as voluntary. Amanda felt relief wash over her. Thank you. But why did you do that? Your argument had merit, Nalia said. Our research seeks to understand fear, not merely document it. Forcing compliance would compromise the data. Voluntary participation yields more accurate results. Amanda wasn't entirely convinced that Nalia's reasons were purely scientific, but she was grateful. Nonetheless, what do I have to do instead? The new protocol is conversation-based, Nalia said. You will describe fear experiences from your life and explain your responses to them. This approach, while less precise, offers insights into the subjective experience of human fear. So you just want me to tell you what scares me? And why? Essentially, yes. And how these fears have shaped your development as a sentient being. That sounds much better, Amanda agreed. They moved to a smaller room with comfortable seating. Nalia activated a recording device and asked Amanda to describe her earliest memory of fear. I was about 4 years old, Amanda began. I got separated from my mom in a grocery store. I remember looking up, and suddenly she wasn't there. People all around me were strangers. Everything looked huge and unfamiliar. I started crying because I was terrified I'd never find her again, and the resolution Nalia prompted a store employee found me and took me to the front where they called for my mom over the speaker system. She came running. She had only gone around the corner to get something. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. What did you learn from this experience? Amanda thought for a moment. That being lost is scary, but people will help you. That my mom would always come find me. I guess I learned that fear doesn't last forever. Fascinating. Nalia made notes. The experience taught resilience rather than avoidance. Most species develop avoidance behaviors after fear. Experiences. Humans appear to extract social lessons instead. For hours, Amanda shared stories about fear from her life. The time she broke her arm falling from a tree. The night she watched a scary movie and couldn't sleep afterwards. The day she had to give a speech in front of her entire school. Her first date. The time she almost drowned. Learning to swim. Nalia listened carefully, asking questions about Amanda's thoughts, feelings, and physical responses. How did your body react? What did you think would happen? Did you avoid similar situations afterwards? What coping mechanisms did you employ? As Amanda spoke, she realized how many of her important life moments were connected to fear in some way. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of pain, fear of the unknown, but also how she had moved through those fears each time, learning something new about herself and the world. I have a question for you now, Amanda said when Nalia paused her recording. What are Virixians afraid of? The question seemed to catch Nalia off guard. Our species engineered fear responses out of our genetic code. Many generations ago, she said after a moment. We do not experience fear as you understand it. Amanda looked skeptical. Everyone is afraid of something. What about before you engineered it away? What were your ancestors afraid of? Nalia was silent for several moments. Historical records indicate primitive Virixians feared environmental threats, predators, and social rejection, not unlike early humans, and now we maintain awareness of threats and respond appropriately. We simply do it without the emotional component you call fear. The response is purely rational. That sounds efficient. Amanda said, choosing her words carefully but also kind of sad. You miss out on the relief that comes after fear passes, the way scary experiences bring people together, the pride that comes from facing something frightening and surviving. Nalia made a notation. Pride from fear response, uniquely human concept. Further, study required. A soft tone sounded throughout the room. Nalia stood. Our session is complete for today. You will be returned to your quarters. Rest is recommended. As Amanda was led back to her room, she noticed Nalia watching her with an intensity that hadn't been present before. She wondered if maybe, just maybe, she was teaching the alien as much as Nalia was learning from her. The days began to blur together for Amanda. She lost track of time in the windowless ship with its artificial cycles of light and darkness. She estimated she had been aboard for perhaps 2 weeks, though it could have been longer. Her conversations with Nalia continued growing deeper and more complex as the alien researcher became increasingly interested in human emotional responses. One day, as Amanda sat in her room, trying to recall the lyrics to her favorite songs, to pass the time, the door slid open. Nalia entered carrying something unusual. A tray with what appeared to be food. I have prepared nutrition based on your biological requirements, the alien said, placing the tray on a small table. Our analysis suggests these compounds will be pleasing to your taste receptors. Amanda looked at the tray surprised. It held what looked like fresh fruit, a piece of bread, and something that resembled cheese. It was the first time she'd been offered anything other than the tasteless nutrient solutions they had been feeding her. Thank you, she said, genuinely touched by the gesture. This looks amazing. Nalia watched intently as Amanda took a bite of the fruit. It tasted almost like an apple, but with hints of cinnamon and vanilla. Amanda closed, her eyes savoring the flavor. The sensory pleasure you display is fascinating, Nalia observed. Your entire facial structure changes when consuming enjoyable nutrition. The collective considers eating a purely functional activity. Amanda smiled. Sometimes, the most functional things can also be enjoyable, she said, taking another bite. That's something I think your people have forgotten after the meal. Nalia led Amanda to a new room. This one contained what appeared to be a museum of sorts with display cases containing objects from various worlds. This is the cultural repository, Nalia explained. We collect artifacts from species throughout the galaxy to study their development. This section contains items from Earth. Amanda walked slowly along the displays, seeing objects from human history. A stone axe from prehistoric times, Egyptian jewelry, Greek pottery, samurai armor, Renaissance paintings, modern technology. Each item carefully preserved and labeled. You really have been watching us for a long time, she murmured. The collective began observation of Earth approximately 4,000 years ago. Nalia confirmed, we have witnessed your transitions from agrarian societies to industrial development to your current technological stage. Why? Amanda asked, turning to face the alien. Why study us at all? We're obviously far behind your civilization. Nalia seemed to consider her words carefully. Humans are unique. Among all species we have encountered, yours develops in unpredictable patterns. Most follow logical progression paths. Your kind makes leaps, intuitive connections that defy rational analysis. You create art that serves no purpose. You risk yourselves for abstract concepts like love and freedom. You are inefficient, chaotic, and yet remarkably resilient. Is that why you brought me here, to figure out why humans are different? In part, Nalia admitted, the Virixian collective values knowledge above all. We seek to understand every aspect of consciousness throughout the universe. Your species represents an anomaly, one we have yet to fully comprehend. They continued through the repository until they reached a section that made Amanda stop short. It contained personal items from people she recognized. Her neighbors, co-worker, friends. There was Libby's charm bracelet, Karen's favorite coffee mug, Stephanie from work's wedding photo. These are from people I know. She whispered, how did you get these? Specimens are selected from connected social networks. Nalia explained, your community has been under specific observation for 3 generations. We have collected items during brief examinations, similar to your own abduction experience. Amanda felt a chill run through her. You mean everyone I know has been taken at some point? Not all, but many memories are adjusted upon return. Most recall only dreams or brief moments of missing time. What have you learned from all this observation? Amanda asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. Nalia gestured to a screen on the wall which activated, showing images of Earth cities, forests, oceans, homes, people. The most significant finding is your species' relationship with fear. Despite its evolutionary purpose as a survival mechanism, humans have developed complex interactions with fear states. You create entertainment based on fear responses. You deliberately seek experiences that trigger controlled fear. You use fear as a bonding mechanism with other humans, and that's unusual. Highly. Nalia confirmed, most sentient species either eliminate fear through evolution or remain controlled by it. Your kind has integrated fear into your development in ways we find difficult to comprehend. A thought occurred to Amanda. If your people engineered fear out of yourselves long ago, how do you even recognize it in others? How do you study something you can't experience? Nalia's expression shifted subtly. We maintain historical knowledge of emotional states. Even without experiencing them directly, we can observe the neurological and physiological markers. The collective preserves all knowledge, even that which is no longer relevant to our evolution. But it's not the same, is it? Amanda pressed. Observing isn't the same as understanding. You can measure my brain activity and heart rate when I'm scared, but that doesn't tell you what fear feels like. For the first time since their meeting, Nalia seemed uncertain. Your observation has merit. The subjective experience remains inaccessible through objective measurement. This is a recognized limitation in our research methodology. They left the repository and Nalia escorted Amanda to a new section of the ship. This area was different, less sterile, more varied in color and design. They passed other Virixians who regarded Amanda with what might have been curiosity. Where are we going? She asked. The senior researcher wishes to speak with you, Nalia said. This is unusual. Direct interaction between research subjects and collective leadership rarely occurs. Your case has generated significant interest. They entered a large circular chamber. The walls were covered with flowing symbols that seemed to move and change. The ceiling displayed what appeared to be a star map, constantly shifting focus from one solar system to another. In the center stood a Phyrexian, taller than any Amanda had seen yet, with skin so dark blue it was almost black. Amanda Miller of Earth, the figure said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. I am Elder Scientist Thalia. I oversee all research into developing species. Your interactions with Instructor Nalia have been most illuminating. Amanda wasn't sure how to respond, so she simply nodded. Your fear responses have been extensively documented, the Elder continued. But we seek deeper understanding. You will assist us. It's not like I have much choice, Amanda said, unable to keep a hint of bitterness from her voice. The Elder made a gesture with her long fingers. You misunderstand. This request is not compulsory. Your willing participation is required for the data to have value. That surprised Amanda. What exactly do you want me to do? We wish to experience human fear, the Elder said. We have developed a neural bridge technology that would allow temporary sharing of emotional states. The process is not without risk, but would provide unprecedented insight into the subjective experience of human fear responses. You want to feel what I feel, Amanda said slowly. You want to know what it's like to be afraid. Precisely, the Elder confirmed. Such knowledge would complete our understanding. The collective has debated the value of this approach for generations. Your unique responses have reopened this discussion. And if I agree, what happens to me afterwards? You would be returned to Earth with adjusted memories as planned. Nalia said the procedure would not cause permanent harm. Amanda looked between the two aliens, sensing an opportunity. Will you answer my questions first? Honestly, the Elder seemed to consider this. Your questions in exchange for participation. This is acceptable. Amanda took a deep breath. Why are you really studying human fear? What will you do with this knowledge? Is Earth in danger? The Elder was silent for a moment, then spoke. The collective studies all developing species. With potential for interstellar travel, your kind is approaching this threshold. Within 2 centuries, humans will likely achieve faster than light technology. At this point, contact becomes inevitable. We must determine whether your species represents a threat. So this is about deciding if humans are too dangerous to be allowed into space. Amanda said, your simplification is essentially correct. The Elder acknowledged. Species driven primarily by fear, responses often become aggressive when encountering others. We have been forced to contain such civilizations in the past. Contain, Amanda repeated. How exactly? The Elder made a dismissive gesture. Such measures have not been determined for Earth. The purpose of our research is precisely to avoid such decisions without complete information. Your participation would provide valuable context. Amanda thought about what she had learned about the Phyrexians during her time on the ship. Their clinical approach to everything, their engineered emotions, their confusion about human behavior. She thought about Earth with all its problems and beauty, its fear and courage. I need time to think about this, she said finally. The Elder nodded. A reasonable request. You will be returned to your quarters. Nalia will accompany you to answer additional questions. Your decision is expected within 1 solar cycle. As they left the chamber, Amanda felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Somehow she had become Earth's representative in a test she hadn't known was happening, and the stakes seemed impossibly high. Back in her quarters, Amanda paced the small room, trying to process everything she'd learned. Earth was being evaluated. The Phyrexians were deciding whether humans were too dangerous to join the galactic community, and somehow she had become central to that decision. Nalia stood silently watching her. Your agitation is understandable, she said finally. The responsibility is significant. Amanda stopped pacing and faced the alien. Why me? She asked. I'm nobody special. Just an ordinary woman from a small town. What made you choose me for this? You underestimate your significance. Nalia replied, Our selection process is thorough. We monitored your responses to fear stimuli throughout your development. Your pattern is unique. What do you mean? Nalia activated a small device that projected images in the air. Amanda recognized herself at different ages. A toddler taking first steps, a child climbing a tree, a teenager standing on a stage, a young woman jumping from a high diving board. These are moments from my life, Amanda said. How do you have these? The collective has observed your development since birth, Nalia explained. Your fear responses show an unusual pattern. You experience fear intensely, yet move toward it rather than away. You seek understanding of what frightens you. This combination is rare and valuable for our research. Amanda felt a chill run down her spine. You've been watching me my entire life. She thought about all the private moments, the mistakes, the fears, the triumphs. How much of her life had been observed. Only significant developmental markers were recorded, Nalia said as if reading her thoughts. Your privacy was respected within parameters. That wasn't exactly comforting. Amanda turned away, trying to gather her thoughts. Then, she faced Nalia again. Tell me the truth. If I agree to this neural bridge, what will happen to Earth? The data would be analyzed and recommendations made to the collective council. Nalia said they would determine whether human emotional patterns represent a threat to galactic stability, and if they decide we are a threat. Nalia hesitated. Various containment protocols exist, she said carefully. Depending on the assessed level of risk. Would you destroy Earth? No. Nalia seemed genuinely surprised by the question. Destruction is never authorized for developing worlds. Containment might involve limitation of technological development, isolation fields preventing interstellar travel, or in extreme cases memory modification to redirect aggressive tendencies on whim. Of those options sounded good to Amanda. So you're asking me to help you decide how to control humanity. The alien tilted her head. Your perspective is understandable, but limited. The collective does not seek control. We preserve balance. Aggressive species have caused extinction events throughout galactic history. Our protocols prevent such occurrences. Amanda sat on the edge of her bed feeling overwhelmed. But humans aren't just about fear, she argued. We're so much more. We're curious and creative, and compassionate. We build things, we make art, we help each other. We can be wonderful and terrible, but we're always complex. Nalia nodded. This complexity is precisely what makes your species fascinating. Most develop along predictable paths. Humans are unpredictable. The neural bridge would help us understand this complexity beyond mere observation. Amanda was quiet for a long time, thinking. Finally, she looked up. If I do this, she said slowly, I want something in return. The elder authorized questions. Nalia reminded her. I want more than that. Amanda said, I want to show you something. I want you to see Earth. Not just through observation, but to really understand it. Before you make any decisions about containment protocols, you should experience what makes humans special. Nalia seemed confused. Your request is unclear. What specifically do you wish to demonstrate? Our stories, Amanda said, suddenly inspired. The things we tell each other about fear and courage and hope. You said yourself that our storytelling is unique. I want to share that with the collective. I want them to understand us through our stories before they judge us. This request is unprecedented, Nalia said after a moment. I cannot authorize such a modification to the research protocol. Then take me to someone who can. Amanda insisted. Nalia seemed to debate internally. Then she nodded. Follow me. They returned to the elder's chamber, but this time it was empty. Nalia led Amanda to a different section of the ship where they entered, what appeared to be a communication center. The walls were covered with screens showing different parts of the galaxy. Barixians worked at various stations monitoring data flows. Nalia approached one of the senior officers and spoke quietly. The officer looked at Amanda with obvious surprise, then activated a communication channel. A holographic image appeared in the center of the room. Another elder, even taller than Thalia, with elaborate markings covering her blue skin. "This is High Elder Venora," Nalia explained. "She oversees all collective research." Amanda swallowed nervously but stepped forward. The High Elder regarded her with glowing amber eyes. "You are the human specimen," she said, her voice deep and resonant. "Instructor Nalia indicates you have made an unusual request." "Yes," Amanda said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I understand you're trying to decide if humans are dangerous. I want to offer additional context before you make that decision." "Proceed." The elder said, "Humans tell stories," she began. "Stories about our fears, but also about overcoming them, about finding courage and hope even in darkness. These stories are how we process emotions, how we learn from each other, how we grow. I propose a cultural exchange. I will participate in your neural bridge, but first I want to share our stories with your people. Let them understand humans through our own words." The High Elder was silent for several moments, considering. "You believe human narratives would provide relevant context for our assessment?" "I do," Amanda said. "Stories are how we understand ourselves and each other. If you want to know if we're dangerous, you should know how we see ourselves, what we value, what we fear, and what we hope for." Another long silence. Then this proposal has merit. The elder said a preliminary cultural exchange would establish context for the neural data. Instructor Nalia will oversee the process. The communication ended, and Amanda felt her knees go weak with relief. "Your argument was persuasive," Nalia said. "I did not anticipate the High Elder would agree." "When do we start?" Amanda asked. Immediately, Nalia led her to yet another room. This one contained what appeared to be an auditorium with tiered seating. Several dozen Virixians were already gathering, taking positions in the circular chamber. "The collective has authorized a knowledge-sharing session," Nalia explained. "Senior researchers and cultural specialists have been summoned. Your stories will be recorded and analyzed." Amanda felt a moment of stage fright as she looked at the assembled aliens, all watching her with those glowing amber eyes. But then she thought about what was at stake. If she could help them understand humanity, maybe she could change their minds about whether Earth needed to be contained. She took a deep breath and stepped forward to the center of the chamber. "I want to tell you about being human," she began. "About feeling afraid, but finding courage. About the stories that have shaped us for thousands of years." For hours, Amanda shared human stories, tales from mythology and history, fables and legends, modern films and books, personal anecdotes. She told them about Odysseus outwitting the Cyclops, about children lost in dark forests finding their way home, about astronauts facing the void of space, about ordinary people finding extraordinary courage in times of crisis. She explained how humans used stories to process fear, to find meaning in suffering, to inspire hope. She talked about how fear could paralyze but also motivate, how it could destroy but also create. She spoke about the complex relationship humans had with their own emotions, neither controlled by them nor free of them. As she spoke, she noticed the Virixians leaning forward, their expressions changing subtly. Some even appeared to be taking notes. The clinical detachment she had grown used to seemed to be giving way to something almost like curiosity. Finally exhausted, Amanda finished with a simple story from her own childhood, about getting lost in the woods behind her house, how terrified she'd been, how she'd remembered her father's advice to follow the stream, how she'd found her way home tired, scratched, but triumphant. The fear had been real, but so had the victory over it. When she finished, the chamber was silent. Then one by one the Virixians began to make a gesture, touching their fingers to their foreheads. Amanda looked at Nalia questioningly. "It is a sign of acknowledgement," the alien explained. "They recognize the value of your contribution." This is unusually expressive for the collective. The Virixians filed out of the chamber, leaving Amanda alone with Nalia. "Did it help?" she asked. "Did they understand?" "Understanding is a process," Nalia said. Your stories have provided new context for our research. The neural bridge will complete this understanding. Are you prepared to proceed? Amanda nodded. I am. As they walked toward the medical section of the ship, Nalia said something unexpected. Your courage is admirable, Amanda Miller. Most subjects respond with fear and resistance. You have shown neither. Amanda smiled faintly. Maybe that's what makes humans different. We feel the fear, but we choose what to do with it. The medical chamber was unlike anything Amanda had seen on Earth. The walls pulsed with a soft blue light and strange equipment hummed with energy. Several Virixian medical specialists moved around the room, preparing devices Amanda didn't recognize. In the center stood two reclined chairs connected by glowing tubes and wires. Elder Thalia was already present overseeing the preparations. She acknowledged Amanda with a slight nod. The neural bridge is prepared, she said. The procedure will allow temporary sharing of emotional states between you and a Virixian volunteer. Who is the volunteer? Amanda asked. I will participate, Nalia said, stepping forward. Amanda was surprised. You'll experience my fear. Why would you want that? Nalia seemed to choose her words carefully. My research specialization is human emotional response. I have studied your species extensively, yet true understanding remains elusive. This opportunity is valuable. You might not like it, Amanda warned. Fear doesn't feel good. That's kind of the point. The discomfort is anticipated and accepted. Nalia replied. It is necessary for complete understanding. The medical specialists helped Amanda into one of the chairs, securing various sensors to her head and body. Nalia took the position in the connected chair. A crown-like device was placed on each of their heads with thin filaments that seemed to move on their own. This will facilitate the connection, Elder Thalia explained. The bridge will activate gradually, beginning with simple, emotional transference. If distress becomes excessive, the process will terminate automatically. Amanda took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. Are you ready? She asked. Nalia. The alien nodded. I am prepared. The specialists activated the equipment. The room darkened and the tubes connecting the two chairs began to pulse with light. Amanda felt a strange tingling sensation spreading from the crown across her scalp and down through her body. Focus on fear memories, Elder Thalia instructed. Recall experiences of significant emotional intensity. Amanda closed her eyes. She thought about the time she'd nearly drowned as a child, the panic as water filled her lungs, the absolute certainty that she was going to die. She remembered the car accident she'd been in 3 years ago. The screeching of tires, the moment of impact, the world spinning out of control. She thought about the night she'd heard someone breaking into her apartment, the paralyzing terror of lying in bed listening to footsteps. In the next room, as each memory surfaced, she felt it intensely, as if living it again. Her heart pounded, her breathing quickened. Sweat broke out across her skin. But something else was happening too. She could feel Nalia somehow connected to her experiencing these emotions for the first time. She heard a gasp and opened her eyes. Nalia was trembling, her amber eyes wide. Her 6-fingered hands gripping the arms of her chair. The tubes connecting them were pulsing rapidly now. Is she okay? Amanda asked, alarmed. The elder moved closer to Nalia, monitoring her vital signs. The experience is intense, but within acceptable parameters, she said. Continue the process. Amanda closed her eyes again. This time she thought about different kinds of fear. Not just terror, but anxiety. The feeling before a job interview. The moment before speaking in public. The uncertainty of telling someone you love them for the first time. The fear of failure. The fear of rejection. The fear of loss. She felt Nalia experiencing each one, the bridge between them strengthening, allowing more complex emotional states to transfer. She could sense the aliens. Confusion, shock, fascination, as each new feeling washed over her. Then something unexpected happened. She began to receive impressions from Nalia, brief flashes of alien emotions. Subtle, complex states she had no words for. A sense of connection to something vast and ancient. A responsibility stretching across galaxies and millennia. Knowledge, both burden and gift. The medical specialists were speaking rapidly now in their own language. Their voices sounded concerned. The elder moved quickly between monitors. Unexpected neural synchronization. The elder said, "Connection exceeding parameters." Amanda could feel it something deeper than they had anticipated happening between her and Nalia. Their minds were not just sharing emotions but connecting on a fundamental level. She saw flashes of Nalia's life. Growing up on a world with 3 sons. Training at the academy. Centuries of observing. Other species. The loneliness of objectivity. The weight of knowledge without connection. Terminate the bridge. One of the specialists called. The synchronization is too deep. Nalia's voice sounded different. Strained, but determined. Continue the process, Amanda. Felt the connection deepen even further. Now she wasn't just sharing fear with Nalia but everything that came with it. Courage, hope, determination. The human ability to feel afraid, yet act anyway. The complexity of emotions that the Virixians had engineered away generations ago. Through the connection, she sensed something awakening in Nalia. Not just understanding, but experience. The alien was not just observing fear, but feeling it. And with it all the other emotions that humans took for granted images flashed through their shared consciousness. Earth seen from space forests and oceans, cities and villages. People laughing, crying, embracing, fighting, creating billions of lives, each complex and contradictory, beautiful and terrible, kind and cruel, creating and destroying. Always feeling, always striving, with a final surge of energy, the connection peaked. Amanda felt as if her consciousness expanded beyond her body, beyond the ship, beyond even her understanding of herself. For one perfect moment, she was both human and alien, both individual and collective. She understood the Virixians as they understood her. Then darkness. When Amanda opened her eyes, she was alone in her quarters. The familiar white walls hummed softly. She sat up feeling strangely empty, as if something important had been taken from her. The memory of the neural bridge was already fading, becoming dreamlike. The door slid open, and Nalia entered. But she looked different, moved differently, her posture less rigid, her eyes somehow more alive. What happened? Amanda asked. The bridge, it was more than they expected, wasn't it? Nalia sat beside her. A gesture of casual intimacy the alien had never shown before. The neural connection exceeded design parameters, she said. Her voice, too, had changed, containing subtle inflections that hadn't been there before. It was meant to transfer emotional states temporarily. Instead, it created something unprecedented. A true sharing of consciousness. Did you feel everything? Amanda asked. Everything. Nalia confirmed. I experienced fear in all its variations, but also courage, hope, determination. The connection was reciprocal. You experienced aspects of Virixian consciousness as well? Amanda nodded. I remember pieces of it. It's like a dream, now fading. The longer I'm awake, but I felt it. The vastness, the knowledge, the responsibility. The Elder Council has been in emergency session since the procedure. Nalia said they are debating the implications. The data we gathered is unlike anything in collective records. What does it mean for Earth? Amanda asked. For humanity's evaluation, Nalia was quiet for a moment, considering. Then she looked directly at Amanda. I have been authorized to inform you that the containment question has been resolved. Earth will not be restricted. Your species will be permitted to develop naturally, including eventual interstellar capabilities. Amanda felt relief wash over her. Then a suspicion. Why the change? What happened? The neural bridge revealed something unexpected. Nalia said your emotional complexity, once considered a potential threat, is now understood to be your species' greatest strength. The capacity to feel fear, yet act with courage, to know despair, yet choose hope. This duality was lost to the Virixians when we engineered emotion out of our genetic code. The collective now believes this was perhaps an evolutionary misstep. Amanda was stunned. You mean our emotions are fears they convinced you were not dangerous? Not merely that, Nalia said. The connection revealed that humans may represent a necessary balance in the galactic community. Your kind experiences the full spectrum of emotion, yet has developed the capacity to choose your responses. This integration of feeling and reason, of instinct and choice, is remarkable, perhaps even essential. You will be returned to Earth tomorrow. Nalia continued, your memories will remain intact, though they may seem dreamlike to you. This, too, is unprecedented. The collective believes your experience should be preserved. Amanda felt tears forming. How will I ever explain this to anyone? They'll think I'm crazy. A small device will be provided. Nalia said, it contains evidence of your experience, including images of our vessel and recordings of our conversations. It will activate only in response to your neural signature. Should you choose to share your experience, the means to verify it will be available. Why? Amanda asked. Why leave me with the memories, the evidence? Why not just wipe my mind like the others? Nalia made that gesture that Amanda now recognized as a smile. The neural bridge changed more than policy, Amanda Miller. It changed us. The collective has authorized a new research initiative focused on emotional reintegration. The first in 10,000 years. You mean you're going to try to feel again? Some of us already do. Nalia touched her own chest. The connection between us left remnants, echoes of human emotion. The experience was transformative. My perception has been irreversibly altered. I have been reassigned from observation to communication, in preparation for eventual open contact with Earth. When will that be? Perhaps 50 of your years, Nalia said. The exact timeline remains undetermined, but it will come. And when it does, humanity will join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects or specimens, but as teachers.